We're live? What's up, y'all? It is Mental Health Monday, coming to you on a Thursday. But I think that's so appropriate for the times because it's the wild, wild west over here. And I'm excited to get into our conversation today. So, Callie is about to join me, and I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be discussing today. So let's bring her.
Hi.
Hi. Feels like it's been such a long time. Good to see
It
you.
really does.
Right?
It feels like it's been more than a month.
Because what is time? I was just saying, it feels very appropriate for Mental Health Monday to be on a Thursday because, again, just what is time? Um,
Yeah, that's where we're at.
but glad to see you.
Yeah, you too.
So before we just hop right in, we'll introduce ourselves for anyone new tapping in with us. My name is Kayla, and I am a yoga psychotherapist, founder of The Well Healing, where I bring counseling, education, resources, all about the community and supporting our folks. And each month I get to tap in with my friend Callie about mental health in our communities.
Yes. Everyone, I'm Katrina or Kali, is the name I also go by. I am a holistic healing arts therapist in California, and work through Manifesting Me Wellness, my organization, to bring mental health therapy, Reiki services, and other holistic ways of healing for the community. And we're here today to talk about this topic that we've both been avoiding.
Okay, so take note of those resources because you might need them after we get into this. So,
Yeah.
what we're gonna get into today is the election, the impending, for me, it feels like impending doom that is the election
Yeah.
results, all of that stuff. So maybe you can share why have you felt avoidant of the topic?
Because haven't we been through enough? Like, I don't know if I have any more energy for anything else.
Yes.
I feel, I just feel like it's been a heavy year with a lot of things happening. And I think specifically as a Black woman and as a therapist, it's just a lot going on. And I'm like, I'm showing up for the community. I'm showing up for myself as best as I can. I'm doing all the things. And every time something happens, my phone is ringing off the hook. So I kind of just want to ignore this election thing because I'm tired. And I just don't have it in me. Like, we just gonna see what the results are gonna be and we just gonna deal with it then. I don't have the capacity to like move through it.
Yeah.
But then when you came in my inbox today and was like, maybe we should talk about this election, I was like, you're right. We really should.
I know, and it's not because I necessarily even wanted to. I really feel you. First, like
Yeah.
as a community-based clinician, same. I'm definitely expecting the wave that is going to come. I feel regardless at this point of even
Yes.
who's the winner. Um,
Yes.
so I think that's part of it for me is just knowing that, like, I guess maybe bracing myself for what it is to come. And then
Yes.
on a personal level, just also feeling really tapped out. Like, I am already someone who was not a believer or particularly invested in the government
Yeah.
of our country.
Hmm.
So the particular state of affairs we find ourselves in makes it just absolutely exhausting to try and deal with,
Yeah.
and it feels hard when there's like no good option. Not that
Yeah.
there ever
Right.
really is, but like, so yeah. But and I think us being honest that even as people who are very equipped with ways to cope
Right.
and deal with challenging times, like it's something that we are still finding ourselves like, I'd rather not. Like, so I can only
Yeah.
imagine, right, just in general, how folks' experiences are right now too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I laughed when you messaged me because I was like, Katrina, this has been the topic of conversation in half of your sessions this week. And you was really about to go live and act like it wasn't happening. Like everybody's in session talking about how they're having a lot of election anxiety and how it's just heightened their awareness about their place in the world and their experiences and their safety in a lot of ways as well. And I'm like, you were really about to go on live for Mental Health Monday and act like we're
And I
not
was
in
about
the
to do it with
middle of
you. I was about to do it with you. I'm telling you, the ancestors be yelling. And I was like, let me just kick it to her, see how she feels about it. But
this.
me too. I also, in the majority of my sessions, it's been a
Mm-hmm.
conversation. And again, even on a personal level, like in a real way, I feel concerned about the reactions and how that might
Yeah.
impact my individual safety and of course like the safety of our communities. I think especially I got a lot of family in the South, uh
Mm.
so that's I'm still really feeling it even being in
Yes.
LA and California, but I think
Yeah.
especially of my folks who are in a different kind of anti-black setting.
Environment. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So all this being said, we hope to at least offer up
Something.
to offer up some things that might be of use now,
Mm-hmm.
during, after. No guarantees on that, but it's useful to at least throw it out there and see what
Yeah.
sticks. So
Yeah.
yeah, in
Yeah.
your conversations, in your therapy sessions, I don't know, are you offering coping skills or what do those conversations look like?
That's funny. I was about to ask you the same question. I am and I'm not.
Mm,
So I am offering for people to go back to things that maybe they haven't done in a while.
mm,
I think at the beginning of stay-at-home orders, folks were like really taking care of themselves in different ways, and really trying to find like alternatives because the things that we normally do were not accessible.
right.
And so we've been in it for a while. Things have kind of opened up a little bit, even though we keep opening up and shutting down and all of that. I'm offering to people like, hey, like, what about the things that you were doing before? What
Mm,
about the things that you were doing when the stay-at-home orders became really serious, when you realized you weren't going back outside anytime soon, even
mm,
when like the uprising really
yeah.
started and kicked into gear, we talked about coping skills in those moments. And so I'm just offering for people to like go back to those things.
Mm,
So some of the things that came up, some examples that I think have been like really solid examples and really good, are staying off of social media. Like just tap out, delete the app if you need to, can, want to, whatever. Like just be done with it. Just cut it out altogether.
throw your whole phone
Um,
away. No, I'm just kidding.
Throw the whole phone away. Just get rid of it. So that's one big thing is like staying off of social media. or limiting the amount of time that you are spending informing yourself. And so if you choose to go to social media and there's a lot of like informing myself of what's happening in the world, like do it at a certain time of day.
Yeah.
But when you know that you can relax afterwards, and so maybe not starting your day in that way, or maybe not like doing it right before bed, like do it before you take a bath, do it before you go and do your workout so that you can release some of that energy. And then like limiting it.
Yeah.
So if you only do it for 30 minutes, that is more than enough, and just get the highlights. Like what are the captions? Just give me the highlights. What are the headliners that are happening in this moment? And anything that feels really important for me to know more about, I can read more about. But other than that, I kind of have a general consensus of what's happening, and I can exit and take care of myself rather than going down that rabbit hole, because it's really easy to get caught in the rabbit holes and continue down the scrolling and the finding more information and all of that. And then the last thing that a lot of people are talking about is I was like, do an anti-election party for election day. Like, do something else. Don't watch TV.
This.
Like, just don't engage. Don't be on Twitter looking at everything that's happening. Don't be scrolling through your Instagram. Don't like, if it's a Zoom party, that's okay. If it's just you by yourself in your yard or in your living room, like whatever it looks like. But like anti-election, plan out your entire day. Have something to do for every minute of the day that can distract you from what is happening. Pull in some friends who is like, I'm gonna call you at this hour and we're gonna hang out for an hour. Like just plan something else, because part of the anxiety piece is the anticipation. And I think part of it, like, you're not going to change it by just watching it happen on TV the day of. Like, it's going to happen either way. You watching is not going to make it better or worse. It's just, you're just going to work yourself up. So do something different on election day. So those are the three things that I feel like I've been having those conversations a lot about in therapy sessions that I think are wonderful ways of coping. Where you come.
Woo! I love and agree with everything that you just said. Definitely limit your exposure. I love the piece about the time of day as well, of being intentional, maybe to not start or end your day that way. I will make sure that I'm not making myself vulnerable to bad news if I know I have something coming up that needs my full attention. So know kind of what your roles and obligations will still be and how you can manage within that in a realistic way. Love that. Love the anti-election party. I'm stealing that one. Don't know who is invited yet, but even if it's just me, myself, and I in here cutting up, I love that. And especially that makes me think, even on November 3rd, 4th, right, when we would typically get the results, that may not be the case this year, right? So there's even more anxiety, for me at least. There's not only the anxiety of the voting and all of the just all of the stuff around that, particularly around like
the back and forth and who's winning and who's not, and are the ballots gonna get in? Like, all of that.
just chaos. There's all of that anxiety. There will likely be anxiety on the day of as well, especially if there is no official result, right? So I love having an action plan ahead of time, knowing what is it that I can be doing to take care of myself leading up to the day, especially on the day of, and maybe even the continued anxiety that might be there if we don't have an answer on the day that we would expect it to show up. So definitely be tapped into community, right? To be able to have a safe place where you can share about the thoughts and feelings that are coming up for you, whether that's with a therapist, whether that's with your family, your family,
Yeah,
loved ones, whomever, it's really important to have spaces where we can feel validated, where we feel like even where our
absolutely.
voice can be heard. Because I know that that's an
Absolutely.
underlying thing too, right? Is that folks feel very powerless, like to do
Right.
anything about what's going on. So, and with that train of thought too, I would think in terms of like feeling powerless, there's honestly
Hmm.
so much that's out of our control, right? So
Yes.
what are the things that are within your control in your
Mm.
situation, right? So that can look like both like the coping skills that we're talking about right now, and that brings me back to aligned activism and those conversations that we've had
Yes.
before in terms of what are the spaces where you can share your voice so that the part of you that does need to speak out, speak up, feel like you are having a say and impact, there are spaces where that still can happen. So if you're
Absolutely.
someone, yeah, who needs that, find those places now, in
Hmm.
anticipation, right, that it's potentially going to be a rough ride. So have that ready. And in terms of safety, because I know something that I plan on doing for myself and has been a real
Mhm.
concern for folks of color, especially Black folks,
Right.
consider truly making a safety plan. And
Yes.
especially if geographically where you're at. I think we could all benefit from a safety plan because
Absolutely.
Becky and Friends is turning up. They showing up and showing out
Absolutely.
right now. So
Absolutely.
should they lose their cool, have a plan on who's going to be checking in on you. Who are you going to check
Hmm.
in on? Where can you
Yes.
go if you need to physically, right, remove yourself from the space that you're in?
Right. Right.
You know, uh, have those plans, have a bag ready, right? A go bag, something where
Hmm.
I'm not trying to scare nobody, but I like to sometimes just put the worst scenario out there. That way it's you got that handled, everything else you can deal with, right? So have a go
Right.
bag so if poop hits the fan, family show, you can just get up and go and be about your business in safety. So
Yes.
those are some of the practical things that I'm sharing with folks too.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, it's really the
Yeah.
uncertainty, and it's interesting
Yeah.
being a therapist right now too,
Mm.
um, because we are moving through this, experiencing this right along with
Yes.
everybody else. So
Yes.
at times for me, it feels challenging to keep up when I'm like, what the F is going on, just like everybody else. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you're acknowledging that because I feel the same way. And I'm noticing a lot of other therapists are feeling the same way as well, especially Black female therapists, because there's so much happening
Mm-hmm.
at so many different parts of our intersections right now. And so acknowledging that I think that's why like I don't have a lot of advice. It's I'm trying to
Mm,
figure it out too. And I think even reflecting that in therapy has
mm,
been something that clients have identified as validating. Because I think it can be really easy, especially in the middle of being still somewhat shut down and being confined to your home. It's really easy to forget that there are other people who are also experiencing this and having a hard time. And
right.
then when you hear a therapist say it, it's like, oh, okay, like I'm not tripping. Like this is challenging.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have challenges and to be in anxiety and to worry and to plan for, right? Because I think there's also a stigma around like if you're anxious about something, like we tend to just push it down and like move through it.
Right.
But there's a stigma around like planning for it and like making worst case scenario, how am I going to handle this? But I also think that that's really important. So I'm glad that you brought that piece up, especially around our safety, because it's really important no matter what happens, because I think it's going to be nonsense on either end, but that we are able to know like where are our safe spaces, where is our community that we can reach out to and acknowledge, checking in on each other. I always love that we come to these spaces of talking about community care in these conversations,
Yeah.
because I think that that is so important and it's really being highlighted during all of this, all of this.
Yes. And thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see more post election support groups popping up.
Okay.
Yeah. So even I work part time when I'm not in private practice. I also serve as a therapist at a local university. And I'm going to be, well, I've been asked to lead a post election support group
Mm-hmm.
and for them as well, right? And it brings up all of the things because my first thought is, girl, if Trump wins and it's a whole bunch of people in there crying about that, I'm gonna just have to
Me
cut off
too.
my.
I'm gonna be in crying too. We just all gonna be in tears.
I know. Like, I don't know if I'll be in a position to host the group. Actually, I may not be. You may not want me in there. Actually,
Right,
I'll either be
right.
crying or yelling. Probably both, but
A little bit of both.
a little bit of both. Regardless, though, right? There are definitely stay on the lookout for different post-election support groups. I've seen
Yeah.
one, at least one, pop up. Visit the well healing, go through our highlights, the support group highlights, because I've added it in there, and I hope to see more. And I think, well, I say as we get closer, but that's next week. Oh my god.
Yes, it's next week.
Bruh.
That's why I've been in full blown avoidance. Like I wasn't gonna deal with this till a week from today.
I was going to deal with it a week after the elections, poke my head up and be like, did we make it, y'all? What happened?
We good. We good.
Right? We
Yeah.
good? But yeah. Ooh, yeah, next week. So acknowledging all of your feelings too, as a therapist,
Yeah.
of course, we got to throw that out there. How, right, you mentioned the stigma that can be around having a sense of anxiety or feeling unsafe, because that makes me immediately think of masculine center folks who, always got to posture up, like, ain't scared of nothing and nobody.
Right.
We are in a pandemic, cis, sir, they, them, no pronouns, and it's okay to be like, I feel a little shook. Acknowledging that allows you to then be able to fully address and cope with what's there versus trying to
Absolutely.
ignore it and act like
Absolutely.
this superhuman that nobody needs right now.
Right. Right.
We don't need that. So acknowledge your feelings, all of them, and whether that's on paper, again, with your people, but I think having space for the feelings, the
Yeah.
complicated, and probably the very strong feelings right now, right? Like, things are
Absolutely.
intense. And unless you are really good about keeping your head under a rock, we're all feeling some of the pressure right now.
Yeah.
So I would say that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yep.
Take lots of
Yep.
deep breaths and pace
Yeah.
yourself, because
Yeah.
I
We're in for more of a ride. I feel like everyone is feeling like, oh, 2020 is almost over, like it's done, we're good, like we almost made it, right?
mm,
Um, but
mm,
I'm kind of reflecting to folks that like I don't think it's over.
right.
I think we are coming into this other wave of this pandemic because we're coming into flu season and cold weather and all of that. And then we are also coming into this election season. And even though election day is coming up, we still have to deal with the repercussions of finishing out this year with the powers that be already,
Right.
and the transition of power and what that's going to look like. And there's going to be stuff happening around that after that as well.
Yes.
And as I'm saying that, thinking about from a trauma perspective, this idea that when we are in survival and when we go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, that like our bodies are only supposed to be in that space for a very temporary amount of time. It's supposed to be like, oh, I'm in danger, get out and be done with it.
Right.
And we've been in this for a long time. And then obviously as BIPOC folks, like for much longer, but that our bodies are holding a lot in these moments. And if we ignore it, like you said, like acting like we're good, everything's fine, and ignoring this anxiety, that the repercussions on the other end, somewhere in this time period of 2022, 2021, 2023, even like going on for years and generations later, it's going to be really challenging. We are going to see a lot more stuff happening with our mental health. We might feel like we are okay right now, but your body and your mind is holding a lot. So deal with it a little bit at a time. Take 10 minutes every day. Take an hour every day, like whatever it is, but like face it for a little bit. I know it's also scary sometimes to hold all of those emotions and like face them, because you feel like, if I deal with this, I ain't coming back. Right. Set a timer, deal with it for a short period of time, and then like go on with your day so that you don't feel stuck. But we have to deal with it a little bit at a time, because either way, it's gonna wear on us, and we're not gonna be in a good place in a year. And so I think that's kind of the fear and the nervousness that I'm also having in this moment is like, y'all think 2020 is over and we're good, but we're not. There's stuff still happening, and we haven't had a chance to settle already, and we're not going to get one, I don't think, anytime soon. So deal with it a little bit at a time, work through it, get your community together, do what you need to do to bring in some joy, and like, we'll move through it.
Ooh, yeah, thank you for naming that, because I think that's the timepiece a lot of us have been talking about. Once this year is over, and it occurred, I probably saw a meme, read it somewhere, but it occurred to me that Mother Nature don't give a flying F that we've decided it's January now, this is over. So
no.
Yes to that, to the fact that our feelings are impacting us and they will come out some kind of way, right? So practice taking care of yourself regardless of your mood. Make that something that you are being intentional about daily, whether it's a hard day, whether it's a good day. Right? It's good to continue to just boost yourself up, have that cushion, because we are definitely still in for a long ride, right? And the uncertainty of our well-being is something that cannot be ignored, right? And,
absolutely.
And it sits in our bodies. It's running through our thoughts, consciously or unconsciously. So know that there is no need for shame right now. You are in company with everyone else. Someone telling you that they are 100% unaffected is lying to your face.
And probably themselves.
And taking care of ourselves and taking care of one another in many ways is all we got right now. Absolutely. So I need you to show up authentically, right? I need to show up authentically, let folks know what I can offer, also what I don't have the space for, and let folks know what I need to. And our ancestors have survived many a global pandemic, many a devastation, many moments of time where it looked like this could be the end for us. right? So I
Absolutely.
also call into the generational wisdom that our bodies have,
Absolutely.
to survive and be in community so that we can thrive too. So tap in. You know?
That's all we got.
We
That's
got on here at
it.
2:30 because, girl, I don't know what else I can give y'all.
I think we did a wonderful job. I want to acknowledge you for being with me and thank you for being with me in shedding some light on this avoidance that we were both having very actively.
Yep. When I tell y'all we had
And
a
being
whole
with
other
me in that
plan,
process.
I had
Whole
notes
other
about some
plan.
other stuff. And I was like,
And we were
Katie,
completely silent about it up until an hour ago.
literally, literally, I was like, we lying to these people if we don't.
We really are. We was gonna come on here acting a whole fool.
So we're modeling that it's okay to not have all the answers, to feel all the
Yeah.
feels, and to be honest about that, still doing the things to show up for yourself and for the folks you care about. So we'll be around. Tap into Manifesting Me Wellness, tap into the Well Healing, tap into
Yes.
all the community resources that are out here. Uh, and I really am interested about what our mental health conversation might look like in December or January
Yeah.
if we end up needing to recover for
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. I look forward to the next one. Thank you for being here with me and having this conversation and sharing your wisdom as well. I always appreciate these chats that we have.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll catch you next month, maybe, if we're all still here. Just kidding. See you
Yeah,
soon.
if we're good.
Bye.
Bye.